I think the story right now, Major League Baseball, the young Bucks in Pittsburgh
Oh,
and O'Neal Cruz, man. I mean, we've been talking about him for a while. I'm holding a plus 350 rookie of the year. So let's go, O'Neal. Here we
oof.
go. Man, he's fun to watch, though. I'm not sure there's been a guy, and listen, he can fly, he can hit, but we got a little rebirth of Sean Dunston here for the old timers. When he gets a ground ball at short, my man crow hops it, winds it up, and unleashes. O'Neal Cruz now, that you got to turn it on. If you're not, I don't care if you're a Pirates fan or not, turn on O'Neal Cruz and the Pirates each night.
6'7" shortstop.
Yeah.
6'7" shortstop, athletic as could be. Hits missiles when he makes contact, just lasers flying out in the air. But that play at shortstop got me. I had never seen him. I've only read about him. And I saw that highlight. I watched that clip at least 10 times in a row. I was
Same.
like, and thought if I was playing first, I wasn't ready for that.
Well, did you see it last night? They had the shift on, so he was over on the second base side of the bag and got the ground ball and did the
No.
same thing. I mean, he crow hopped it, winded up. Chavis is like in a triple threat position from basketball, like okay, like a goalie. Here we go. Oh my God, he's going to unleash it on me. And he brought it.
That's one of those things that like it's hard to tell him to like ease up because he knows one speed. You can tell. So like, hey man, just kind of like flip that one over, would you, when you're on the second base side of the infield?
Nah,
Just
nah.
But
He brought it.
but the Pirates won 3 games in a row now. Like we're rolling.
Yeah, they're interesting to watch. They do have it's not just O'Neal Cruz. They have some young guys. They're getting some pitching. Let me give you one O'Neal Cruz first, and then I got a couple questions about the game 3 of the series against the Cubs coming up today. This is from MLB Pipeline. Okay.
Okay.
Following O'Neal Cruz's debut the other night. So not last night's game, but the night before, Monday night. He had, after 3 innings of his debut, 3 innings of the first game, the hardest throw by an infielder in Major League Baseball this year, 97 miles an hour from short, the one we're talking about. He had the hardest hit ball of the year by a Pirate, 112 exit velo off the bat. That was on the double where he got thrown out at third. He also had the 3 fastest sprint speeds by a Pirate this season. That was in 3 years. If you haven't watched and I don't know if I've ever said this about a player ever. So we've talked about this kid now. We've talked about a throw from shortstop. And the second thing that I liked, watch him tag from third and run home. I mean, it was like 3 steps and he was already home and he's flying. I mean, can you tell I'm all in on O'Neal Cruz? I'm driving to Pittsburgh tomorrow. I might have a jersey. Next time we talk, I might have an O'Neal Cruz jersey. I'm all in.
I love it. It's exciting though. Like, and I think things like this will bring, casual fans in. It'll bring the diehards a little bit of hope and excitement as far as where it's going. And for people that just like look at this stuff and want to bet it, it gives you other opportunities. Like now, how do you not bet this guy like to get a total base prop or different things like
Hit
that
prop,
with the right
RBI
matchups?
prop. Yeah.
Right. It gives you all kind of opportunities.
Okay, so let's stay on this game and talk for a minute because this is one, dive down into here a little bit. So the Pirates, 19 runs scored in the last 2 nights off the Cubs. So let's start there. We're going to have to look at the total here. Tonight, you're getting Eichhoff making his first start of the season for the Pirates. So some of the props aren't totally out there yet.
Yeah.
But Eichhoff starting against Keegan Thompson, who's actually been pretty good for the Cubs, believe it or not, on a really bad team. But here's what's interesting. I need you to walk me through the total right here. So I just gave you 19 runs scored for Pittsburgh. The pitching matchup maybe favors the Cubs a little bit, so there's my hesitation. But the Cubs didn't produce runs last night, but they probably should have. You don't see this very often, Dave. They had an expected batting average last night post-game of 284. 284 and scored 1 run.
1 run.
They had like 9 of the top 13 exit velocity numbers for last night's game. So they were hitting it hard. They just weren't producing any runs. Is this the game? It's baseball, so everything kind of balances.
Yeah.
Do we look over today in this one? Or no, stay with under.
No, this would probably be the game you would look to bet over, and this would be the game where they have all these exit velocity numbers and all these things you have, and it'll be 3-2. Like it'll go under, right? This will be the game that will do the opposite of what the numbers would indicate, just because it's baseball. And did you see the line? I mean, the Cubs are favored
Yeah.
this morning. What?
That's
Why?
well, that's simply pitching matchup. I'll give you the why. I knew you were going to ask me, so I have it up here for you. I mean, listen, the Cubs are terrible. We see that the Cubs are bad. We get
Yeah.
it. Pittsburgh's hot. They're playing with some bounce now. But Keegan Thompson, let me give you some numbers on Keegan Thompson so far. He not terrible. I mean, he's 6-2 on the year. I know wins don't necessarily matter. The analytics people will go nuts that I'm even quoting it. But 3.27 ERA, and his expected ERA is 3.7. So it's in that range.
I love the fact that they made this ERA and then expected ERA, because
it's
like
the best. I go right to it.
I know, but like this would be like us keeping track in a book of bets won and bets expected to win. And that would be great, because we could just say, oh yeah, we hit it 54%, but our expected bets for the win, that was 67%. We're really good. What the hell does that even mean, B? How?
Well, it means what I just told you. I mean, if you take those expected numbers, like I said last night, the Cubs were expected to hit nearly 300 in terms of how they hit the ball last night. So what that tells me as I'm looking at this is they were getting hard contact. They just weren't lucky. They weren't producing runs. So that tells me, so what we watch is Contreras for the Pirates on his next start. We got to look at that a little bit. His raw baseball card numbers, the basics, look pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you look underneath that, the Cubs hit him really hard, and they happen to hit it right at guys a bunch. So those are the things if we're trying to look for edges and pick things out, they're certainly not going to work every time, but those are things to watch.
Okay.
So let me go Keegan Thompson, FIP and XFIP, 4.22 FIP, 4.32 expected fielding independent pitching. So that means there may be a little regression coming for him, that his ERA is lower than his XFIP, but it's not a ton. It's fairly in line. So I think what you tell me, but the market, what that looks like to me is they're saying, I know what I've got in Keegan Thompson for the most part. I don't know what I have in Eichhoff, because he's coming up for the first time and hasn't been effective in any of his major league starts over the last 5 years.
Give me the team hitting. Give me the team with the first time starter that the other team hasn't seen at plus money at home against one of the worst teams in baseball. Ooh. I mean, you want to talk about all these things. I don't care about the FIP, the expected this, that, all that right now. I know I can't believe that this line is going towards, look, it's going up. They're betting the Cubs. Okay. I had an old guy tell me, and I don't know if I've said it or not on the show. I'll say it every week if I have to. Bet the sweep. Just bet the sweep. A lot of times people will bet it because, oh, you can't. It's hard to sweep. It is hard to sweep. But the book will need the Pirates today 100%. And I am sitting as a former book guy looking at this going, I would make the game a pick 'em, which is what they must have done overnight, and let people bet the Cubs. You want the Cubs? You can come on up to the window, make sure you have all of your money, and make sure it's counted. And we'll give you a ticket that says you have the Cubs today.
Ooh.
And Keegan Thompson.
Ooh.
What?
Okay.
You want the Cubs today?
I don't like the Cubs ever the way they're playing right now, but man, Pittsburgh, the Pirates expected batting average last night. I'll give you one more expected number on this game. I loaded you up with expected numbers.
A lot of expected things.
Pirates scored 7 runs last night and had an expected batting average of 181, below the Mendoza line.
Were there errors? I mean, how did they score 7 runs with only an expected batting average of 184? Doesn't even make sense. What are you looking at me like that for?
We'll move on.